Why you should not live together before getting married. 6 reasons to stop cohabitating today. In our culture, friends with benefits and cohabitating is part of our culture. But in the scripture, we see another way, and scriptural way is better, and I will prove to you today in this video. Now let's start from the beginning. In 1970s, only 0.2 couples cohabitated. Today it's about 15% of couples ages 18 through 34. Now 78% of ages 18 through 29 say it's acceptable for unmarried couples to live together even if they don't plan to get married. Now, that's majority of people in our world today. But 41% of Christians find the idea of living together is a good idea. Even 58% of white evangelicals approve of cohabitation if couples plan to get married. What does the Bible say, and why you should wait until you get married for you to move in together and live with the person that you want to spend your life with? Well, reason number one. In the beginning, being naked was reserved for a man and his wife. Genesis 2:24 through 25, it says, "Therefore a man shall leave his father and his mother, be joined to his wife, and they shall become one flesh. And they were both naked, the man and his wife, and were not ashamed." That means you should not be naked with anybody who is not your wife and who is not your husband. The second reason is cohabitation is a sin of fornication. So not only the first thing, we see the scripture outlines this pattern, you should be naked with the person that is your wife or your husband, but secondly is the Bible also tells us that cohabitating is actually a sin of fornication. And 1 Corinthians chapter 7 verse 2, it says, "Nevertheless, because of sexual immorality, let each man have his own wife, and let each woman have her own husband." That means that we are limited in our sexual expression with our spouse, not with our boyfriend or our girlfriend. We can't be living with somebody who is not our spouse as though they are. Third reason why you should not be cohabitating and you should stop living together is that living together does not constitute marriage. Now in John chapter 4 verses 17 and 18, Jesus meets a Samaritan woman, and the woman answered and said, after Jesus says, "Hey, bring your husband," and she says, "I have no husband." And Jesus said to her, "You have said well, for you have no husband. For you have had 5 husbands, and the one whom you have now is not your husband. In that you spoke truly." So this man that this woman most likely was living with, even though she is with him, but he is not her husband, and Jesus says, "Hey, just because y'all living together, it doesn't mean you're married." That's why he doesn't call him her husband. He says he is not your husband. So living together does not constitute marriage. The fourth reason is living together has negative consequences on your future marriage. Married adults have higher levels of relationship satisfaction and trust than those living with an unmarried partner. That's a Pew Research tells us that. Now, Journal of Marriage and Family tells us that couples who live together before marriage are 46% more likely to divorce after they get married. So living together as a way of testing out the relationship statistically does not improve your chances of marital happiness down the road. It actually decreases that. Dr. Patrick did a statistical analysis of cohabitation in America based on the findings of a number of academic resources. And this is what his conclusions were. He found out that relationships are unstable in cohabitation. 1 out of 6 of cohabitating couples stay together for only 3 years, and 1 out of 10 survive 5 or more years. He also found out that cohabitating women often end up with the responsibility of marriage, particularly when it comes to caring for children, without legal protection and a lot of times without financial support. Research shows that they contribute, women, more than 70% of relationships' income. This whole cohabitation is really a benefit to men, and it's a burden to a woman. Cohabitation, this doctor also found out, brings a greater risk of sexually transmitted diseases because cohabitating men are 4 times more likely to be unfaithful than husbands. So guys who cohabitate, they are 4 times more likely to be not faithful. Another thing they found out with the cohabitating couples, a statistic that said that poverty rates are higher among cohabitators. Those who share a home but never marry have a 78% less wealth than those who are continuously married. Another thing they found out about cohabitating couples is that those who actually suffer the most from cohabitational relationship are actually the children. Poverty rate among the children of cohabitating couples are 5 times greater than the rate among the children in married couple households. Children ages 12 through 17 with cohabitating parents are 6 times more likely to exhibit emotional and behavioral problems, and 222% more likely to be expelled from school. Ouch. So for those of you who think that God's rules are outdated, God's standards are to take away your blessing, it's the furthest thing from the truth. You must understand is that when you live together, the statistic actually is against you that women end up carrying most of the load, children as a result suffer, and men tend to cheat more because there's no commitment attached. And that seems to drive men into a cheating mode. Now, of course, most of these statistics relate to people who are not following the scriptures or Christ, because those people probably wouldn't be cohabitating. But I'm pretty sure if you're watching this video, there's a very high chance you're a Christian who is cohabitating and who thinks there's nothing wrong with it. Now, reason number 5, why you should not be cohabitating. Living together adds to the mix of generational curses. Now, Dr. Bob Larson, in one of his blogs, said the following: according to statistics, cohabitating couples usually enter into 2 or 3rd cohabitation. Every cohabitation adds to the mix of generational evil. The more partners in fornication, the more likely spiritual contamination. That's crazy. With one marriage partner, you have 2 bloodlines of curses to deal with. With 2 cohabitations, it's 4. With 3 cohabitations, it's 6, and so on. That does not include all the hookups along the way. So this is from Dr. Bob Larson, an exorcist who does deliverance. And he encourages, his point is that because a lot of cohabitating couples do more than 1 cohabitations, they actually accumulate a mix of generational curses that will drastically affect their future. The 6th and the final reason why you should not cohabitate is that living together devalues women. Women tend to bring in more goods to the relationship, more work, more effort to keep the relationship, but they get less satisfaction from the relational commitment and security. Men tend to be drawn to the woman's physical appearance, which decreases with time. Women are drawn to men's power, resources, which tend to increase with time. Now, marriage provides a safety net for the changes in both finances and the physical appearance, grounding both people in an institution that provides more security for a woman, as it provides more stability and protection for a man as well. Marriage is a very pro-woman institution. Cohabitation devalues women. Now, if you're watching this video and you are cohabitating, my desire is not to guilt trip you, even though I'm hoping that from this video it's pretty clear it is not God's will. In fact, it is a sin to live together before getting married. Now, and don't use that lame excuse, well, we're living together but we're not having sex. You know, that's not gonna fly, even if you are not having sex and you're living together. What kind of a testimony? You're jeopardizing your testimony, because nobody in the right mind will believe that both of you love each other and you're not having sex, and something is wrong with you. And so it's a bad testimony to the world, and we need to live our life in righteousness and purity. So 3 things I will give you in the conclusion if you are cohabitating. Continue to check up, but the scripture and statistics are not in your favor. That's one thing you can do. Secondly, is find separate living quarters and stop having sex until you get married. Third thing is get married quickly and have a formal wedding later. Now, this third thing is mainly for people who are living together, they have children already together, and their lives are so intertwined, they actually are like husband and wife. The only difference is that they're not married. And they go to church. A lot of times there's a sense of guilt, and rightly so, because they're not living in pleasing to God. They're not following God's standards. And so a lot of times people use this excuse, well, we want to save money, we want to save a lot of money so we can have a fancy wedding. Well, you're kind of living in sin. So it's just better to have marriage now and then have the formal wedding later. So you really have one of the three options. Continue to be friends with benefits, but the Bible and the statistic actually are not in your favor. Number 2 is separate and stop having sex until you get married. And number 3 is get married, go to court, get married, sign the paper, have somebody pray for you, break them curses, and then have a formal wedding later. God bless you. Thank you for watching this video. I hope that this brought clarity and conviction so that you can follow the ways of Jesus, the ways of the Bible, in the way that could bring a blessing into your life. Don't forget to hit like to this video, share this with other people, maybe with your boyfriend, the one that you're living with, or your girlfriend, the one that you're living with. And let me know in the comments below what your thoughts are. If you are cohabitating and after this video you're saying we are going to part ways, drop your testimony below in the comment, as well as look to other videos that I have on the end screen so that you can learn more about relationship, dating, and marriage.